Hi everyone. According to a journal from Nursing Economics, a configured graph from the Organization for Economic Development and Cooperation, or the OECD, the United States has the highest infant mortality rate, the lowest age and life expectancy at birth, the highest percentage of elders with chronic conditions, and the highest obesity rate out of any developed and or industrialized nation on earth. Why is this? Well, if we take a look at the relation of these statistics to all of the other developed countries associated with the OECD, the U.S. is the only industrialized country with a privatized healthcare system. By this, I mean we prioritize profits for healthcare by having rising health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles, instead of prioritizing the necessary and given right of basic health care that everyone should be entitled to. In 2016, over 27 million non-elderly Americans were uninsured due to either financial turmoil, lack of education, lack of pursuance, immigration status, and or too high of income to qualify for the Medicaid bracket. Even if qualified, during the enrollment period in November and December, someone may still have financial hardships within the following months and may be forced to quit paying for insurance, which then that person would have to wait until the next enrollment period to receive coverage, which may be 9 months, 3 months, it may be a long time. There's also an extremely segregated healthcare standard with competitive insurance between the wealthy, middle, and poor class. The common solution to this problem of healthcare inequality suggested is universal healthcare coverage. This means that every American citizen will be covered by subsidized tax funds from individual, business, consumption, and corporate taxes paid every year, as mentioned in the book, the Affordable Care Act. Missed opportunity, a better way forward. This chart from the Peter G. Peterson Foundation shows that the U.S. spends the most in healthcare per capita than any other developed nation in the OECD. A thing to note that every country on this chart is a developed country, but the U.S. is the only country on this chart that doesn't have universal health care. Even the World Health Organization advocates for universal health care to improve the chances of every person attaining the highest level of health and well-being and contributing to the socioeconomic and sustainable development in a country. The view of social and economic change has a very political undertaking, especially with progressive groups, parties, and some of the Democratic Party. If you flip the coin, Republicans and conservatives have opposing views of this proposal mentioned, that implementing universal health care will kill the insurance marketplace by dwindling most insurance companies into oblivion, according to a ThoughtCode.com article. However, some CEOs of major health insurance companies beg to differ. Mark Bertolini, CEO of Aetna, an American-managed healthcare company, mentions if the government wants to pay the bills and employers want to stop offering coverage, and we can be there in a private and public partnership to do the work we do today with Medicare and Medicaid at every state level, we could run the Medicaid programs for the government. So this implies that current health insurance companies could manage government-funded health care with the experience offered from these companies because they've done Medicaid coverage, while Americans will not have to pay for premiums, just with tax funds. Another opposing talking point is that consumers have plenty of options to shop for when it comes to healthcare coverage and insurance. This is not true due to the fact that over 5.6 million Americans today make over the bracket limit for Medicaid, but still cannot consecutively afford marketplace health insurance. So in conclusion, if you felt that universal health care will work for you and the rest of America, I highly advise you to call your local representatives and senators, and demand a change for our federal health care system. Another call to action is to vote this November for seats in the House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate for candidates who you think will care about your standard human right for basic health care coverage. As quoted by Harry S. Truman, we should resolve now that the health of our nation is a national concern, that financial barriers in of attaining health shall be removed, that the health of all citizens deserves the help of all the nation. Also, a statement made by President Donald Trump during a press conference with Australia's Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull, and after successfully passing a bill to help repeal Obamacare, he states it's going to be fantastic health care. I shouldn't say this to our great gentleman and my friend from Australia, because you have better health care than we do. Like I mentioned, this is stated from Donald Trump, and Australia has universal health care. Thank you for listening, and thank you for your time. I'd like to do a quick Q&A, just 2 questions, so if anybody has any questions, be happy to answer.
I have one. Could they, or has there ever been a test group to see what the real cost is for the affordable health care, so that we're not spending so much money, to see what the sample size is and what it really would cost us?
Right. Well, this was a test done with the OECD, which is basically all of the developed nations grouped into this society, and they tested how much per capita, and this is per capita for the whole population. So they tested the whole population, congruent to how many people there, the population, and how much they spend per capita, and they found out that they spend quite less than the U.S. The U.S. spends an average of over twice more than the rest of the OECD countries. Good question. Thank you. Anybody else have a question?
Is this something that is being sought after or pursued by government parties right now? Is there a time frame of?
There actually is. The Democratic Party is actually trying to pass a public option, which it's not universal health care, but it's a public option for Medicaid. However, there are a lot of representatives in the House and a lot of senators who are wanting to pass universal health care. And a lot of them are being put up, or they're going to put their names to run for the midterm elections to be in the Senate. A lot of them, especially Democrat and progressive candidates, want universal health care. But there are some people in the Senate today that are trying to get it passed. However, a lot of the people in the House and the Senate are Republicans, and Republicans are against universal health care. So this November we have a large handful of candidates right now that are wanting to pass universal health care. So if you think that universal health care is something that should be implemented, go out and vote this November and vote for those candidates. Thank you all so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you all for coming out and listening to what I have to say. And Hope you all enjoyed.